You know Whitney, she's been on the podcast, right?
Yeah, shout out. She's awesome, by the way.
She's the best, you know? And so she has a very public profile. You know, she's got like over 1 million followers on Instagram and stuff. So with that comes weirdos. There's this individual that would attack Whitney online, like, you're the reason your friend died. You killed her. Like saying something.
So did he actually know?
No. She had never met this guy.
Just a fan of...
Not like a hater. I don't know.
Psychopath, really. I mean...
Yeah, and I didn't know too much about it then.
To be a stalker, you have to have something wrong with you, man.
Yeah. And this guy does. He does.
Yeah.
So he was saying all these horrible things to her. She didn't really tell me about it then. And then as time went on, she was like, hey, this is going on. So I'm like, all right, let me look into this guy. Like, look him up, find him, like his social media page and stuff. And because he would comment on her posts, and he would talk about cutting her up into pieces and like, I'm going to slit your throat. You're a fucking witch. You're part of like the Illuminati, like all this weird, like he's out there. So at one point I was like, man, I'm tired of reading about this. So I like commented back. I was like, look, motherfucker, I know who you are. Cause I'd already figured out who he was. And oddly enough, he's an Asian guy. And I was like, man, this guy could live anywhere in the world. China, whatever. Oddly enough, lives in fucking Colorado. But his attacks to Whitney have been going on for 5 years. We've been together 4. She hasn't even lived in Colorado that long. So it's just the weirdest thing of like this guy. It's not just her. It's a few of her friends that are all like fitness models and stuff. He sends them like death threats. Come to find out he lives in Colorado. And I had figured that out and stuff. So I commented back and I was like, look, Kim, I know who you are. Like, I know where the fuck you are. One day I'm going to see you. So you better back the fuck off. And then he went in on me, how he's going to kill me. He would put me in the ground. All these things. So I saved all of this over the years. So saved every single one of them. Screenshots, video recordings, because it would be him talking to the camera. When I see you, I'm going to kill you.
Really?
Yeah. I got him. I'll
like
show you when we get on.
Next level, man.
Yeah. And so this has gone on for years. This is, I don't know. This is 3 years ago that I kind of found out.
There are some so I've worked with a lot of high profile, you know, divas and that sort of stuff, and those threats are fucking legitimate.
Yeah,
like to the
John
point.
Lennon got killed by a fan.
Yeah,
you know,
we had I used to work for Rihanna, and there was in the 5 or 6 years that I worked for her on and off from the beginning of her career to the end, I can't even count the number of people that literally would run on stage to try to touch her, grab, whatever they were trying to do.
And you don't know if they're trying to hug her or stab her.
It's wild. Yeah.
The obsession with people gets
And I
weird.
think one thing that's important to note too is your background is in some personal protection stuff for high profile people, right? Like you've worked in that industry. Yeah,
a lot of celebrities and stuff. And then like I've been training it forever, and then like, you know, jiu-jitsu, martial arts, all of it. Like,
so it's not like you're just an over adamant boyfriend that is taking this to the next, like you've been trained in what to do and what not to do.
Yeah.
From a professional standpoint though.
I'm not
like you've worked for some professional companies doing this as a service.
Yeah. And I'm not a loose cannon at all. Like, so when I started looking into this guy, I was able to find out like where he was living and everything.
Right.
I could have gone to his fucking house if I wanted. And I didn't. And that was years ago. And then fast forward. So this continues. Like I said, I've got 20 something videos.
God,
and it's not crazy. Like he can claim it's not him. It's him talking to the camera like, I can't wait to cut you into pieces. I'm going to slit your throat. I'm going to bleed you out. Like some fucked up shit. And I'm like, whatever. The guy's fucking crazy. Yada, yada, yada. He's called the gym. He's called Genesis before to see if she was there. Like asked if Whitney's there.
Really?
Yeah. Lingering around because this story is going to sound real fucking weird because at one point he trained at Genesis for a quick second. How does that happen out of all the places in the world?
Yeah, no, there's too many. I mean,
before Whitney and I were even dating, this guy was going at her. And then at some point he trained at the same gym that I'm at now and then is in the same state when it could have been anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
Because this is all on social media. And there's a point to this, so I hope I'm not losing people because I think that this is a really important part to learn is social media, no matter what you think about it, is kind of real life. Like, don't dismiss threats. I'm not saying you have to take every single threat 100% serious, but don't dismiss it. Like, put it in your brain, log it, pay attention, right? Because the story gets fucking weirder.
Mm-hmm.
So I give you the backstory of this guy, and it continued, and then it was kind of silent for a minute. Whitney had got a new car. She got it wrapped and everything. She did it with this company. So
I saw it. It was fucking bad. It was about the time she was coming on the podcast, I think. Yeah.
And so this is right after that. And so we're driving her car. We go to some boxing fights in Boulder. Go to the fights, everything. We're not drinking, whatever. We go home.
But you guys are a very public couple. So, like, as it's happening, you're pretty much putting it on social media in real time, right?
She does. She doesn't always. I try to get her to not. I'm like, do it when you leave.
Right.
And this isn't a fault of hers or anything, because I think I put some stuff up from the fights. We had some friends fighting, young kid that we helped support and, push. And so we were hyped for him. He won. So we go to leave, and we're in Boulder. Like, we live in Denver. We don't live in Boulder. So we drive to the gas station, needed gas. This is like 10 o'clock at night. This fucking guy comes walking up to me as I'm getting gas. Swear, there's camera footage of it. You could find the fucking.
Dude, this motherfucker's got some balls, because if you go and look at your social media, it's you fucking KOing people and
He's still got some balls.
Is this dude fit? I mean, does he have any fight pedigree or like any sort of? He's got to be delusional.
Like, he trained and stuff, but he's fucking delusional.
But an amateur.
I mean, yeah. By what I saw, yes. Because, and no, he's not big at all. Like, this isn't a bragging thing at all. This is literally.
I'm not laughing at the situation. I'm just laughing at this guy's.
He's a small
fucking stupidity. It baffles me that people literally have to have a screw loose or like a mental disability to think that they're going to be able to do something. But at the same time, who fucking knows if this guy has a goddamn gun?
Well, that's where
and you're pumping gas and he shoots you in the back of the head. I mean, look at like.
That's where the story's going, because I was, and I mean, he's not intimidating at all, right? But when I saw him, I was like, oh fuck, this is how I die. I literally thought that, because, so I'm getting gas. We're the only car there. It's in Boulder at 10 o'clock, and it's not, school's not in session or whatever.
Yeah.
So half the town's empty, it's not like CU's there. And I'm getting gas, and this guy walks up to me, and he's wearing a big, like, puffy coat, and it's not even cold out. Like, I don't have a coat. It's, it's fine. He's got a big, like, parka on and backpack. And
shit.
And I'm getting gas, and he walks up to me, and he's like, hey, you're Chris, right? And I, like, looked at him, and I was like...
Did you recognize him right away, or...?
Kinda. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, what's up, man? And he's like, yeah, I watch BKFC all the time. But he was just, like, weird anyway. But then I, like, put it together, and I was like, oh, yeah, cool, man. Nice to meet you. And, like, once I realized who it was, I started walking towards him, right? But I was being, like, cool with him. I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, what's up, man? Like, you watch BKFC, everything. And I was like, what's your name? And he told me. And then that's when I just, like, grabbed him, because... I will tell you this, like, I might not be right, and I might get in trouble or whatever, but I didn't die, right? So if you think somebody has a weapon like that, or like a gun or whatever, I mean, like, what am I going to do? If I take off running, Whitney's in the passenger seat, and I just bail. So running wasn't an option. So you want to, like, close the distance, right? Because if he has a gun,
want to put yourself in between whoever you're trying to protect and the threat, right?
Yeah, and also, like, I want to put myself as close to him as possible, because I'm confident in how I handle myself. If he has a gun, I can't do anything from 10, 12 feet away.
No.
So I was, like, walking towards him, just like, oh, yeah, what's up, man? Like, you watch BKFC, you're a fan, yada, yada. And then as soon as I said, what's your name? And he's like, oh, I'm Kim. I, like, grabbed him by his neck and, like, kicked his feet out. And I did kick his ass. Mm-hmm. I kicked the shit out of him. But I didn't die. And I could not believe that happened.
Okay, so this all goes down, but what happens after you kick your feet out from underneath him and you guys get into some sort of squabble? I mean, does police show up at this point, or like what?
No, I stopped on my own, which will be part of my story on like there, you know, like once I knew that we were good. So there's a security guard that came out from the gas station and everything. And he was kind of like, what the fuck? He didn't even really intervene. So there was a security guard in the thing. And again, I think that I'm not getting a lawyer, but if I had a lawyer, they would tell me, don't talk about this. But this is the actual story. This is what I'm going to say in court, whatever. Like, if you want to come down on me for that, fine. Because I feel like there needs to be a stand, because we had talked to the police about this guy before. They told us, I understand, but we can't do anything until he tries something. Really? And I remember telling them, I said, all right, so we have to wait for him to try to kill her before you fucking do anything about it? Because I told him, like, here's the guy. Here's where he's at, blah, 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 blah. And they're like, well, those are just threats. Well, threats fucking matter, you know, to some people. Some people make empty threats, some don't. So that's what we got told by the police. No, nothing. He's got to try something. Well, I'm in the belief that, like, I'm not going to wait for him to fucking try. Like, he came up to me. Had he walked into the gas station, I would not have noticed him, anything. He literally came up and stopped me from getting gas and was like, you're Chris, right? Like, he felt ballsy enough to, like, engage that conversation, which also makes me think, once I realized it was him, like, oh shit. Like, there was a minute where I was like, I'm dead. Yeah. If he had pulled out a gun
with good reason, man. Like, I think that you 100% did the right thing.